You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Welcome, listeners, to another episode of All Good Things, a Star Trek Universe podcast here on BQN and the Fandom Podcast Network. I'm your host, Kelvin, and with me today, it's Mark and Kristin. Hello, hello. Kristin, how are you, my love?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I am very well rested after a week off last week. I'm just off the plane from Spain. Been on my little holiday to Sitges with all the gays. So I'm a little suntanned, a little tired, but seeing your two lovely faces is helping ease the holiday blues a little bit. So how are you, Mark?
Oh, doing well. Been doing a lot of work in the yard lately. I planted a little garden, so that's coming along good.
Nice. You can come and mow my lawn if you've got 5 minutes. It's a little overgrown at the moment.
Well, I probably won't keep my shirt on, just letting you know right now.
You're going to see a bunch of random people show up to watch you mow your lawn now.
They're going to throw things at me. Go away, monster, Yeti.
Like a 90s Diet Coke break advert.
It's been so hot here. I feel bad for anybody who has to mow their lawn. It's been like 40-ish for a week and a half now, and which is 100 degrees for some people, or a little bit over.
Wow.
And it's I can't handle that. I am a fall girl for sure. So this heat wave just needs to move along. We're good. Thank you.
Well, you enjoy yourself, strap yourself in for the next hour with your fan on, your air conditioning, whatever you're fortunate enough to have over there in Canada. And also a big topic today. So I think we're going to get straight into it. So today we are continuing our Architects of Star Trek series, and we are celebrating 15 years of Star Trek associated with writer and producer Brannon Braga. Which is sometimes a little controversial. So let's see, we may be going into this episode with a preconceived opinion of the man, and let's see how we end it after we break it down. So, Kristin, my love, would you be kind enough to give us a little bit of a bio on Mr. Braga?
Yes. So Mr. Braga was born August 14th, 1965 in Bozeman, Montana, which means actually a month from today is his birthday. So happy almost birthday, Brannon, if you're listening to this. He studied theater arts and filmmaking at the University of California, and he started out in 1990 as an intern, which was a program with the Television Academy Foundation. And it was actually Michael Piller that picked him out of a group of finalists for this position. So I love seeing how everything just falls together for some people. And one little piece of trivia that I always thought was interesting is if you've heard Bozeman and Montana written into movies and canon many times, and he did that on purpose because that's where he's from. So I thought that was cute.
There's so many. I think I saw some expanded areas associated with him, and immediately traced them to an episode of Star Trek. There was something to do with Kent State University, which is where Janeway references in Deadlock about the matter at time and anti-time.
Yeah,
and wow, it's everywhere.
It is, and I mean, look at where first contact happens in the Star Trek universe is in Montana. Yeah. So. Yeah, he really wanted to give kudos to his state. So I thought that was cute.
Yeah. So where it started for Star Trek, it started for Brannon Braga. And I think that's cute as well. This man literally gave 15 years of his career to Star Trek. So, we should be grateful, if nothing else. So in terms of format for today, Brannon Braga has a long association, as I've just said, with Star Trek, with TNG, into Voyager, and then finishing with Enterprise, but also with some of the movies as well. Interestingly, nothing to do with Deep Space Nine, that we will come on to a little bit later. Myself and Kristin just sigh a little bit there. So let's start with his beginning with Star Trek which was in Next Generation and the movies. So, Mark, what can you tell us there about his association with TNG?
Well, his association with TNG, he had 24 writing credits on TNG, which is pretty impressive.
Absolutely, and certainly not from the very beginning as well. When did he come in?
So his first credit was actually season 4 reunion,
which is a great episode as well.
Fantastic.
That's the Kayla murdered by Duras.
Duras.
Mark, that means he's also responsible for giving us Alexander Rosenko.
Oh, you shouldn't have brought that up. Really? I was liking Brandon at the start of this, and now I'm like, I don't know.
And also the start of Worf being the most underperforming father, perhaps, ever in the Star Trek universe.
The male role model, right there.
Especially when you look at like Cisco and how amazing he is with Jake, and Worf is just like, "Okay, bye. You're going off with my parents." It's
So, Brannon listens to every episode of All Good Things, and so he was tuning in this week saying they're going to celebrate me finally, and now we're bagging on him already.
I think he might need a strong drink listening to this episode. I'm sure we're going to, like we always do here on All Good Things, make an argument for both sides of every story and balance completely. But there might be a few cringe moments coming up. Apologies in advance. So if he came on in season 4 with Reunion, which I think was pretty close to about episode 100, he obviously had a lot to do with TNG. We have a note here that obviously his mentor, Michael Piller, moved across to start Deep Space Nine and wanted Brannon to go with him over to DS9 to help launch the show. But Brannon said no, and wanted to finish off TNG's run with season 7. What do you think of that, Kristin? It seems quite odd for us as DS9 lovers for someone to say no to it.
I mean, we're DS9 lovers because we have seen what happened and we're able to look at the beauty of that show. But for somebody who would have been leaving a very comfortable and successful series to jump into something that he didn't know where it was going to go, I don't know. I guess I can kind of see it personally. You know, some of us are maybe just not as comfortable with the idea of jumping into something new. Right. And he had been with it for so long. It was his home. So I kind of get it, you know. If he knows now what DS9 turned out to be, maybe his decision would have been a little different, but hindsight is kind of a B sometimes with that. So
it is. So he stayed around in his comfort zone of TNG, for which he was rewarded with a promotion. He was made co-executive producer for season 7. And Mark, why don't you run us through some of the awards that were associated with Brannon?
Well, he won the Hugo Award, which is very prestigious, for his work on the show's namesake, All Good Things, with Ronald D. Moore, which is, you know, I picked a different favorite for my favorite TNG, but I'm going to be honest with you, All Good Things is one of the best episodes of television that's ever happened, that's my eyeballs have ever seen. So but I think that's undisputed, I think, for most of our listeners, hence the title of this show. So I picked a different one.
Sorry, I was just going to say, and it's true, especially for an episode that is a series finale, because that I always find series finales for so many other, even like a lot of non-track shows. I mean, the final season on IMDb is like 8, 8, 8, and then the finale is like 3. People get very particular about how they see their shows wrap up. And so for All Good Things to have been as beautiful as it was, I think we can always be thankful for that it didn't turn out like Dexter or Game of Thrones or something like that, where it's like, what did you do?
I thought you were going to talk about Lost.
No, Well,
I thought he was going to talk about Enterprise, but we'll get there later.
I think we've all taken subtle jabs at the Enterprise finale on this show several times.
Well, sticking with TNG, because we are there, I'm just curious to know, out of our little diverse group here, what are some of your favorite Brannon Braga episodes? Do any resonate with you? So favorite episodes, I guess I will start. I'm being greedy, not like me, but my favorite ever episode of all of Star Trek is a Brannon Braga episode, and we've reviewed it on All Good Things here. It's Cause and Effect. It's my favorite TNG episode. It's very Brannon Braga in its styling, and I just love it. However, do you know, Kristin, I've been doing my Stardate rewatch of DS9 TNG. I just got to the end of 2369, so I've rewatched Timescape only yesterday, and again another fabulous Brannon Braga episode. So I'm being greedy. I'm taking Cause and Effect and Timescape from season 6.
Timescape is also one of my favorites because I will never get over the scene where Jean-Luc Picard carves a happy face into the steam coming off of the warp core or whatever. I don't know if it's steam. I remember watching that as a child and thinking this was the best moment of TV so far in my life, was watching this happen. So I'm on with you on that one. That one's so funny.
So are you taking Timescape as well, or do you have another one to throw in the mix there for yourself?
I'm still looking for the list.
She's scrolling. Mark, what are you going for while we're waiting?
There's a table. Ooh. It's a smooth
I hear
table.
There's a John Base life form coming to get you in the night with your clicking.
There's scissors on an armature. So no, I think Amy and I both have particular love for schisms. Again, All Good Things, obviously, like one of the best episodes of television ever. But if I had to pick a second favorite, I think Schisms is one of them. I like when we all binge watch all of the Star Treks all of the time, and they can be a little formulaic, especially you do have the heads of the series sort of not changing, a lot of the writers not changing and stuff, and they want a certain DNA to the episodes. So when they break the formula, when things are a little different, a little weird, it stands out for me. And when I was a kid, this really stood out for me as being an episode that made space scary. Like it wasn't just somebody boarding the ship or having to fight their way out of something with phasers or beam somebody off a planet. No, this was something unknown. How are we truly going to deal with this unknown thing with Schisms and the alien abduction side piece there, and just we've never seen these aliens before or after. There's still all this ambiguity. They lived in this other parallel universe or something through the wormhole. I don't know, but it was it's quite freaky. Like the doctor, she was like, "Oh, you're it looks like your arm's been broken and then put back together." And it's like, what? What is happening? So it's a very memorable hour of television, and it is scary, but it's also really cool and thought-provoking.
Love it.
As someone who loves horror movies, which I do, especially the old ones that have a little bit of camp to them, I thought that this episode really played on that sort of theme as well, and I love this episode. It's so good, and whoever did sort of like the sound and set design for where they got abducted to, chef's kiss, that the clicking in the background and their ominous robes as they skittle around. Oh, it's so good. It's just so good. For me, I'm just like, look, when you look at what he's written, and some are like, huh. But then some of the, like he wrote Sub Rosa. Let's just throw that out there. But he also wrote Parallels. And I love that episode. It kind of just shows how and makes you wonder, are we, is this what we're having? Are we living a million different lives across all these different galaxies and universes and whatnot? And I don't know. I always thought it was great. And I always loved Worf as a kid. So I liked Worf-centric and Klingon-specific episodes in TNG. So this one was really,
well,
really good.
you picked a good one. Bringing TNG to its conclusion for Mr. Braga, he had very little, well, actually nothing to do with Insurrection and or Nemesis. He was in charge of Generations and First Contact. I think we can all agree that First Contact was a resounding success, the biggest grossing Trek film ever. But Generations, some of its reviews were quite problematic. I watch Generations every Christmas. I love it. And, you know, we say all Trek is good Trek, even the bad Trek. But I think it's good Trek. But he was getting some hate online. Did you see this, Kristin?
I did. He got death threats from people who were angry that Kirk died. So, you know what, y'all, let's just calm down. There's no need to give death threats just because a character dies.
I really found it interesting the way he was in an interview. It was actually a YouTube recording with Rick Berman talking about Enterprise, but they digressed a lot. And he said, it's not that I killed Kirk. Kirk would have already been dead by that point in time. I brought him back to life and then killed him in a way, or let him die in a way that was on screen, had, you know, it meant something rather than, oh, he just died as an old man that off screen and we don't know. What do you think, Mark?
So, no, I agree that he would have already been dead, long dead. And people could have had their own ideas about how he died. But I think had they made the death a little bit more meaningful, it probably wouldn't have hurt people. And I'm not saying that his death didn't have meaning, like he saved that planet or whatever, but the way they went about it with like, okay, he's just gonna slip and fall off a bridge, like that was a little bit like it should have been more heroic. I think the idea of him dying like an old man, sort of sliding down the bridge and falling onto some rocks, was a little bit, I think, what bothered people the most, and what bugs me about it, because I'm like, you have this hero of Kirk that's just like, you know, fighting the baddie in every episode of the original series, and then you get the movies and he's just like invincible, and then you have him sort of, I don't know, his death just sort of being so anticlimactic, like, oh, I fell, I can't get up, where's my bracelet? It's that whole thing. I think that's what bugs people more than anything else, and it still bugs me. I don't care that he died. I mean, all heroes have to die, but it's just the way they went about it. It's really dumb.
I like the you can't get away from Captain on the Bridge. Bridge on the Captain.
One of my favorite memes online.
Oh, Jesus.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's move across to topic 2 now then. Voyager. Very much excited to discuss this. And can we all make a concerted effort here to get our Jeris correct when we are discussing Jeri Taylor and Jeri Ryan? Because if you get them wrong, it creates a particularly unpleasant mental image, as you will see as we go through the relationship between these three people. Okay, so he came over to Voyager and has an epic 48 writing credits for Voyager. So he was here from day one and saw out the pretty much all of Voyager. So as I just said with our Jeris, he came in and took over as executive producer from Jeri Taylor when she retired towards the end of season 3. But he was already present as a writer. But from the end of season 3, that's when he was exec producer. And so then, what was the first thing he did? Speaking of Jeris, who's gonna go there? Kristin, I'm interested in the female opinion on this matter.
I mean, if I was working with Jeri Ryan, I would try to date her too. So I mean, like, let's be honest. If suddenly, I don't know, because Jeri just seems like such a magnetic person from like the inside out, and then she's just one of the most beautiful humans on this planet. You can't blame a guy for trying, can you? And then, but I'm also very much, a lot of the couple workplace dating situations that I've seen in my life have not ended well at all. So, I mean, what are you gonna do? But, yeah.
Well, we all spend so much of our life at work, and a lot of
Yeah.
relationships start in the workplace. But
Yeah.
what is this a '90s thing? Are we looking at it a little bit too post Me Too 2024 lens? I don't know, Mark. What's your? It to me seems like a bit of a mucky relationship. I don't know, and I don't want to invalidate it because it lasted ages. What do you think?
Well, okay, so it's not something that I would ever do. I think that if I was in control of a show, producing a show, I wouldn't try to date the people that were, also working on said show. It just seems really bad, like a very bad idea. With that said, Jeri Ryan was one of the better things to happen to Voyager. Kes, is Jennifer Lean was a great actress on that show. She killed it. She did her best. I've seen her in some fantastic episodes with what she was given. However, the character was fundamentally flawed from the start. Having her be like a child, having her hook up with this much older Neelix, like there's a whole bunch of problematic issues that just needed to go away. And like, I feel like bringing in this fresh character that was part Borg. And the thing is they needed, because Neelix couldn't navigate all the way through the quadrant. He hadn't been that far, right? So that whole aspect of him being like the guide, well, we needed a new guide. And who better than, the Borg is like a reverse, right? Because the Borg had always been the enemy. Well, now you have a Borg that's actually on board and helping. So the whole idea around the 7 of 9 character, I think, was fantastic and really was like an adrenaline shot to the heart for Voyager and helped it really go into some really awesome, cool places that I don't think many people disagree with.
Yeah, interesting. And I'm not suggesting there was any kind of coercion here of him, influencing any power that he may have. It takes two to tango. And some could equally come at Jeri and say maybe she has a penchant for men with responsible positions. I mean, I know they're not romantically involved, but she's all over Terry Metalis as well. They're longtime friends, and that certainly has helped her career of late years too. So I guess we'll never know what goes on behind closed doors. It was more to reference Brannon had a relationship with someone he had professional power over. And also as well, if I'm going to go there with a bit of trivia, I don't know if you guys remember the helmsman on the Pasteur Beverly Crusher's ship in All Good Things, Ensign Chilton. That was Brannon Braga's girlfriend at the time as well. So he's got form of dating the actresses in Trek.
I don't want to be rude, but I might be a little rude. I mean, Branna, he's a lovely guy, but I mean, he's cute. He's cute. I can see it. So maybe he was like, you know what? I'm just gonna take my shot, and LOL, she's so far out of my league, it'll never happen. And then it happened. Or maybe someone was like, I dare you to ask her out. And he's like, okay, fine, $20, I'll ask her out or whatever, like maybe it was some ridiculous start like that. But I mean,
it's a motivational message to people everywhere. Go on, crack on, have a go.
Just take your shot. What's the worst that could happen is she'll say no, right? But as long as everything was consensual and there was no coercion being held, they're two consenting adults, right? So that's that. So that's where I always go to.
I just gotta say, somewhere out there, my Cinema Z co-host Matt Jennings is saying, "Go ahead, just take your shot." He said that so many times on the pod. Anyway, so he listens to this one too. So Matt, I know you're smiling.
Well, 43 episodes of Voyager to choose from. Let's do a quick round robin again with our favorites here. I'm going to go for a very... When you think of all your Year of Hell, your Scorpions, your big Voyager episodes, my favorite is actually Someone to Watch Over Me, which is the Doctor teaching 7 of 9 how to date. A very understated episode, very character development. no pew pew pew, no scene set on the bridge. It's just a fun romp. I don't know why I love it so much. I just do. And it is my having a bad mental health day episode of Voyager to go to lift me up and make me feel amazing. And again, like you've just said, Mark, it's all because I love Seven of Nine as a character so much.
I love 7 of 9 and I love the Doctor so much, but I find that episode so cringe. But I'm glad you love it, Kelvin.
I do. It's a bit weird watching it now, knowing Seven's sexuality and what she became and all that. But yeah, I just still, I love it. It's a very special place, and I can't explain why. So that's me, Someone to Watch Over Me, season 5. What have you got, Mark?
Oh, man. I think I'm going to surprise some people. But I want to say Phage. And the reason I say Phage is because, again, I go back to my previous statement about TNG and how schisms really shook up the formula. I feel like Phage did that too, but with the aliens. It's like, this is the first time we have real menace. It's like, these guys are they're going to come and they're going to harvest your mother trucking organs. It's like, what? They've got a phaser that's just going to steal your lungs and steal this and steal that. And it's like, holy crap. Now all of a sudden the stakes are real again. And this is a different type of alien. And like, they're doing it to survive because they have this disease. And, this could have been an allegory for X, Y, and Z other diseases, So it fostered a lot of great moral discussions. The makeup was crazy good on it. Like, especially I don't know if it was that episode or not, but when we bumped into those phage aliens at another point, and they had like taken somebody's face, and it was just so good. I was like, holy crap. Anyway, it gave some real stakes, like I said, and it was really frightening and memorable. So
Mark gives his heart to the Vidians.
I also love, though, that Brannon has writing credit for Think Tank, which is actually where they do note that they have now cured the Vidians of the phage. So he got to bring that whole arc to a close, and I thought that's very cool.
Love that. Is that what you're going for as your favorite then, Kristin? Are you sticking with Think Tank, or have you got another beauty?
Night is my favorite.
Ooh, interesting. That never really comes up as a favorite for people. Why do you love that episode so much?
I love the fact that they are in the most uncomfortable of uncomfortable positions. They're flying through space with literally nothing around, not even stars. And they don't know how long this is going to go on for. So they're just going into the abyss. And I think it's such an interesting look at how humans and human-ish whatever beings would deal with that kind of uncertainty. And it's almost sort of like how we deal with life. We don't know what's happening, and we're flying through this unknown territory, and every day is the undiscovered country and all of that. And I always just found how the characters found reprieve in the episode very interesting. How are they dealing with this mentally draining situation and this uncomfortability? And then they get to, of course, help rescue and save some lovely little aliens along the way. And I don't know why that's one of my favorite episodes of Voyager, and it's one of my favorite season premieres. And it's so interesting because I was thinking, what would I do?
Kristin, that's great. That's great.
3 very, what I would say, random episodes that we've chosen, though. We've not gone Scorpion, Year of Hell, obvious pew, 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 big, massive episodes. We've gone for quite human, personal stories. Love it. Love it.
And I think that's the beauty of Trek, right? Is you get the pew, pew, pew that you that other franchises offer, but we also get that look and investigation into the human condition as well. And I think that the 3 that we've picked are all different aspects of what it is like to grapple with being alive, especially in the current climate in which we find ourselves.
Let's move over to Enterprise then. Rick Berman and Brannon Braga both admit together that they wanted the franchise to take a little bit of a break after Voyager. They felt there was franchise fatigue, but the studios, or the suits, as Marina Sirtis would call them, made them do a prequel series, and they both ran the show for the first 3 seasons. The interview that I referenced before, where he and Rick reflect on Enterprise, Brannon did say it's his best work in all of Star Trek, and it is what he considers as his show. You know, he ran it from the very, very start. I have always been, especially on this show, the Enterprise fan. A lot of people will come at Scott Bakula for some of his decisions, some of his acting, and I love it. And even when it was uncool to like Enterprise, I've always loved it. So it's not a new thing for me. So when it comes to choosing an Enterprise favorite Brannon Braga episode, I found it easy because I know them all so well, but I found it hard because there's just so many that I love. So I'm being greedy again. Sorry, I'm going for 2. I'm going for Carbon Creek, the T'Pol's great-grandmother episode where the Vulcans are on Earth. And I'm going for Stigma, which is the episode we referenced a few weeks ago when we were talking at season 4 of Enterprise. This is the Pinar Syndrome AIDS allegory episode. And I know that episode gets a lot of critique for not pushing the envelope far enough. But I love it. I think it's a powerful episode with a great message, and Star Trek doing what it does best, holding up the mirror to society. So a happy, clappy Carbon Creek and a very serious Stigma. They are my 2. What are you picking, Mark?
You said it, Kelvin. There's so many, and there's so many good ones. I actually, when I was looking through the list, I found multiples that I could have picked, but one really stood out for a particular reason, and that was Shuttlepod 1. Shuttlepod 1 to me, this is a theme with, I think, all of the episodes that I've picked so far, is that it brought in some real I guess fear, some real danger for what space travel is. It was something that, I think could happen nowadays to anybody going up into space today, like up to the International Space Station or what have you. You could find yourself in a very similar situation. And, it's almost like, an old story of like a shipwrecked at sea, and 2 sailors left together in a lifeboat, drifting along in the middle of the ocean. It's that same kind of idea where you have these 2 characters and they don't know if they're going to get out of this one, and they're trying to keep themselves propped up and keep going, but it literally, like, almost all hope is lost for these guys, and they think that their ship, the whole point is that they think that the Enterprise is completely destroyed because they saw part of it on that it was an asteroid or on the planet. So they don't think that there's anybody nearby that could possibly rescue them, and they're just sitting around getting drunk. And it's the 2 actors, and as an actor, like, tour de force there. Both of the actors did an amazing job, and showed us something that we haven't seen before, and it was almost like a stage play. They said it in that interview with Brannon Braga, where this episode in particular, more than probably any other episode, could be, taken on the road. And I would pay to see it. I would honestly pay to see this production on stage with just 2 actors going over this like 1-act play kind of a thing. It would be amazing. So when I look at all of the episodes of Enterprise that Brannon Braga has been associated with, this one really stands out as, a bottle episode, as, something that's very unique, and different from every other episode of Trek that we'd seen thus far. And I loved it, and continue to go back to that. And it's a favorite of mine.
It's a whiskey bottle episode.
Yeah, it sure is.
I'm pretty sure that was also an award-winning episode. I can't think what award it would have been. If anyone's able to hit a keyboard and find out. But yeah, it is widely regarded as one of Enterprise's best. So good pick, Mark. Kristin, what are you choosing from Enterprise?
I'm actually going to go for a Pew Pew episode for my favorite here, The Expanse, because one of my favorite story arcs in Enterprise are the Zindies. So this was sort of the start of all of that. And I don't have a lot to say. That's just my favorite episode because that's my favorite story arc. So
it was a great season cliffhanger as well. It really left you wanting more when they go into that pink nebula at the end. Lovely.
So
good stuff. So we're now on, and good pick actually. You've brought us to the end of kind of season 3. If we're just referencing the Xindi, we're now getting to the point in Enterprise where the ratings weren't amazing, and the studio were looking a little bit shifty, and the hint of cancellation was in the air. And both Rick and Brannon were asked to step away a little bit, and they handed the show over to Manny Coto for season 4, God rest his soul. And Brannon stayed on in this kind of supervisory capacity and helped kind of, touch up a few scripts there when necessary. But before we get on to season 4 and kind of the end, I would say, of Star Trek and Brannon Braga, I want to pose a question, and again, you could do an entire episode on this, so we don't have to explore too far, but I just got a sense of history repeating itself in that Enterprise came under a lot of criticism for the sexuality and using Jolene as the dolly bird in the tight-fitting catsuit. And it's all very, very samey to the critique of Voyager. Now, I'm not suggesting this is just Brannon's responsibility. A lot of this is also aimed at Rick Berman. But what do you guys think of this? Would this not have been an opportunity to fix things, or do you think it was necessary at the time and because of the ratings? I don't know. How do you feel about the sexy Enterprise-ness, Kristin?
I mean, I hope in the future that uniforms and whatnot are, I don't know. Okay. I have so much to say on the matter, but I'm trying to think of an appropriate way to say it. Is just, as a woman, I can say that I have been judged on appearance and dress for so much of my life, and I understand that it's just part of being a woman in society. Is you're judged on your appearance very, very harshly, and the fact that they did kind of use that to maybe try and wrangle something, I don't know. It's just so uncouth. And I think that's the one thing that where I look at, this is where the Star Trek lore sort of ends and the reality of the world in which it was being aired begins, is the fact that there was only so much that watchers or viewers were ready for at certain times. So I know when people say, oh, well, how could you allow a show or an episode like Angel 1 to come with TNG, and it's like, well, it's still the 80s, and this was still the early 2000s, right? Things were still really, really rough out there, and still really rough for women. We were coming out of the heroin chic supermodel phase into a time of fashion again that was very hard for women to fit. So, the fact that this was just supporting the whole, let's just judge a woman by her looks, and hopefully if we put her in a tight-fitting outfit, we'll get more viewers. Yeah. I mean, again, they're not the first ones to do it. They won't be the last to do it. But I guess in a situation like this, I hope they would have tried something better and more original.
What do you think, Mark?
What comes to mind is that episode where I guess Paul and Archer, and I think Trip and Malcolm, they're all captured or something, and they have to escape from whatever. And to Paul, Jolene falls on Archer, and her boobs go right in his face. That's what comes to mind. It's like, this is what we were doing with Star Trek in the early aughts. It's like, really? We got a boob gag? Like, to me, that's so super cringe nowadays. But with the flip side of that, at least we got some of the male crew members with their shirts off, getting the little gel decon stuff put on them. I was like, okay, I was there for that.
You know what? Quid pro quo, right?
Yeah, I think
at least there was some equality there.
It was just in the height of sex sells, I guess.
Yeah.
And, is there a place for that in Star Trek? And I'm not kind of saying it was wrong. I've cosplayed these looks myself, as Kristin will probably have nightmares about on the cruise.
Oh, absolutely not. You looked fabulous.
So yeah, I'm all for beautiful men running around in knickers and vest. And but yeah, it's just hard not to reference that. But bringing Brannon Braga's involvement with Enterprise and the franchise, I guess, to a close, he had nothing to do with season 4 after handing it over to Manny, except he and Rick came back and wrote the infamous series finale. So we've commented already that he did All Good Things very well. What's our opinions of These Are the Voyages? Who wants to start? Mark, you came straight off mute there.
Man, this could, classes could be taught in college writing about how wrong this episode was. This is not how you end a beloved series and or franchise. Having it all just be like, I guess, like, just a holodeck episode, like from TNG. It's like they deserved more. They deserved better. And I think they killed off Trip in that episode, or they killed him off before that. I don't know, but that whole thing was also wrapped up in the finale of the show, and it's like, why? He's like one of the most beloved characters. So there's a whole lot wrong with the way the show ended. It definitely, it was like cruising along, and everybody was excited for that last season. It was really picking up steam and doing quite well. And then all of a sudden they hit, like, I don't know, what's called black ice here in New England, and the car skidded and it crashed into a telephone pole. And that's not what I have to say about the finale.
Interesting. Kristin, what are your thoughts of the end of Enterprise?
So the fact that he was asked to leave and then brought back for the finale was how would people think that he wouldn't have a little bit of resentment? So is this his revenge episode? Y'all got rid of me and now you want me to watch this. Hold my beer. So,
interesting. And in defense of Brannon and Rick, I guess, and the episode, they very selfishly admitted and apologized in recent years that they wrote this episode not as an end to Enterprise, but as an end of the 18 and 15 year history with the franchise. So this episode was actually about them and all of Star Trek. So there was obviously the TNG connection to signify the start of their journey with Star Trek and this. So that's the kind of the biggest slap in the face I get, that this was not Enterprise's finale. This was ticker tape parade for Rick Berman and Brannon Braga.
Well, they didn't do a very good job at that either. So I don't. I guess no matter what the intention of this episode was, it was bad. It was just bad. Like, really, I'm talking shades of gray bad.
It really, really annoyed Scott Bakula. And yeah, I think Brannon says on the record, it was the only time I pissed off Bakula and he really came for me. So yeah, Scott was not impressed.
Were there no quality checks in place? Nobody proofread their work and kind of said, "Are you sure about this? Is this where you want to go? You don't want to take another stab? I'm just going to slip it back over the table." They just had free reign to really do whatever they wanted. And this was the culmination of that effort. It just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh.
So unfortunately for this episode, I guess our kind of discussion of Brannon Braga, it just kind of ended on a little bit of a sour note there, that this is his end of the franchise. He said in interviews that he wouldn't go back, but he holds no ill will or malice or any negative feelings to people who would, at the point of which he said it, will continue the franchise. Obviously, we've got those people now in the Kurtzman era, but he's done. He remains incredibly proud. It's his longest kind of association with anything. So he celebrates his time. But I guess the final chapter of Brannon Braga is just a very brief touching on what did he do post Star Trek. So, Mark, I know if Amy was here, she'd want to talk about a very particular post Star Trek association. So what did he do?
Oh, the Orville.
Yay.
Guys, I mean, I think that was a little bit maybe of a redemption victory lap for him, because it's as close to Trek as, I think a lot of Trek fans will agree. This is as close to like Star Trek 90s Trek as we've gotten since the 90s with the Orville. And I think that his association with that, I think, helped it to have that Trek DNA. So we can definitely thank Brannon for coming back and doing this Trek adjacent Orville.
Yeah. Kristin, what else did he do?
He was also on 24, which is amazing because Kiefer Sutherland is an amazing actor, and that show is so good. So having writing credits in that is nothing to poo-poo. And he also did Mission Impossible 2, which is a good movie and has a really good soundtrack.
It does. Oh, wow.
I know he has nothing to do with the soundtrack. I just wanted to slip that in there, that the soundtrack's very good.
Fab.
I have it on CD.
So there we are. We're at the end of our reflection on Brannon Braga. So I don't know. What are our final thoughts on the man, the myth, the legend? Mark, has your opinion changed on Brannon Braga? Did you have a strong opinion on him going into this episode? Where are you at the moment?
I don't, I actually don't think my opinion of him was very strong, before. I knew of his association. We really, when you think about 90s Trek, you think it's the Rick Berman era. You think he had more control. So he's usually more, when it comes to mind, problematic 90s elements of Trek, I usually think of Rick Berman, actually, not Brannon. So I actually think through this discussion and through going through his repertoire, I hold him, I think, in higher standing than I did beforehand. So, cool.
Job done. What about yourself, Kristin?
I don't know if I have an opinion. Of him personally, his professional work. I will say, he's got, like we've been talking about, he's responsible for some phenomenal episodes, some not so phenomenal episodes too. But so I always have to kind of just look and say thank you for the contribution that you made to this franchise that means so much to all of us. Who he is outside of Trek, I'm not going to judge on that. The whole the dating Jeri Ryan or anything else that went on. I have no place to make any sort of judgments or pass that type of stuff on him. But I will always, when I see the name, I'll always go, you helped to build Trek to be what it is today. And for that, I will always be thankful.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same page. I've always tried to separate the man and the work, because I love the work and have found myself having opinions on that kind of relationship and what it made him as a character. But like you said earlier, he was a young man. He was in his early 30s and like a really beautiful person. I don't know. He who cast the first stone and all of that. I've probably done some inappropriate things in the workplace myself over the years. So who am I to judge, like we all say? So I would like to give a round of applause to Brannon and his 15-year contribution to Star Trek, much like yourself.
What shows are on BQN, you ask? Well, here's a rundown of some podcasts you might be interested in. All Good Things, a Star Trek Universe podcast covering all of Trek, hosted by Amy, Mark, Christos, Kelvin, and Kristin. Whether you've got Xbox or Nintendo, check out Bargain Bin Gamer, a YouTube show hosted by Davey, a self-proclaimed gamer who specializes in reviewing and showcasing affordable video games. 2 episodes enter the arena, 1 comes out victorious. Join hosts Joe and Kevin and a guest as they debate which should win the Batleth battle. Grab your popcorn as you listen to Cinema Z, a film discussion and review podcast showcasing films you probably missed but should definitely check out. Hosted by Mark and Matt. Don your apron for The Food Replicator, where Matthew eats and drinks his way through the Star Trek cocktail and 3 cookbooks. Beam Aboard Galaxy Class, a Star Trek Next Generation podcast covering all of TNG, hosted by Steven. In order to not repeat it, listen to History with the Szilagys, a snippet of historical events from around the world, hosted by Chrissy and Jason. For the newest Trek coverage, check out Infinite Diversity, hosted by Chrissy and Thad. Curl up with a good book and delve into Beta Canon with Peter, host of the online Trek Book Club on Twitter, and his new companion, Trek Book Club podcast. Test your Trek knowledge with Treksperts Quiz, a Star Trek quiz show hosted and written by Davey. Whether you're a member of Starfleet Federation or Planetary Union, go check out Union Federation, covering current Star Trek and the Orville, which we all know is really a Trek show, hosted by Kyle, Kevin, Amy, and Haley. Head over to YouTube and watch The View Screen live on Sundays, your Trek-inspired talk show hosted by Kelvin and Amy, with Season 2 starting in September for a 10-week run. Spill the tea with Christos while he discusses current Trek news and events and explores the world of fandom via guest interviews, all with a LGBTQIA+ perspective on What's the Tea Bab. And for our Patreon members, we have the Hive Mind with monthly script readings, Let's Fly, a Discovery reaction show, It's Green, a cornucopia of topics, Amy's Math Moments, a quick look at math moments in Star Trek. We know you have a choice of podcasts to choose from, and we thank you for listening to BQN.
Next week, we are going to continue
audio
with our Possessed series. Can you believe we're at part 6 already? Part 6! And we're going to be doing a Lower Decks episode. I'm so excited. Reflections! What a great episode.
We would love to hear what you thought of today's episode and hope you'll join us on our Facebook group, the BQN Collective, or on our Discord server to continue the discussions over there. You can reach us at allgoodpod on Twitter/X and Bluesky, and please make sure you follow the network on Twitter/X, Bluesky, and Instagram at BQN Podcasts. We've partnered with our friends at the Fandom Podcast Network, where you can also find us by searching the master feed, and the links can be found in our show notes. So, Kristin, where can people find you when Brannon Braga is not squeezing you into a tight catsuit?
And no one would want to see that. Goodness. I can be found on Instagram at kstrats. You can also see really cute photos of my cat on Instagram, so I'm just going to put that out there. She's almost 1 and I love her. I'm on Facebook, of course, on the BQN network and also under my name. And then I am also on Reddit at user Garrick's Fan Club. And I know we haven't talked about it all, but the Deep Space Nine subreddit right now is just so much fun discussion is going on over there. So for all the Reddit users, be sure to head over to that subreddit and check out the conversations that are happening. They're really fun. So Mark, where can people find you?
Well, people can find me on Cinema Z, a movie podcast I host here with Matt Jennings. And yeah, we discuss the films you probably missed, but should definitely check out. I'm also still on the BQN Collective Facebook page, so you can find me there. But really, I haven't been on social media a lot lately. I've just been really busy. So you can find me those places. All right, so Kelvin, where can people find you when I am not lathering you up with decon gel, making sure that you're bringing no germs back onto the ship? I mean, I'm slathering it all over, just head to toe, the pecs, the arms, the legs. Anyway,
the beer gut.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if we can swap it out for after sun cream, you can do that, because I'm a bit sunburned from my time in Spain. But when we're not doing that, you can find me on the BQN Collective Facebook group, on the Discord server, or you can come for me directly at Kelvin's Timeline on the socials.
If you'd like to help us keep all of our shows coming to you each week, you can become a patron of the network on Patreon. For just $1 a month, you can join Let's Fly Reaction Show, script readings, and enjoy some of our Patreon-only exclusive shows like It's Green and Amy's Math Moments. Visit patreon.com/BQN to get all the details, and you watch your damn messages.
If becoming a patron isn't your thing, you can still support the show by sharing our posts on social media, talking about it with your friends, hitting the like and subscribe button on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, and leaving us a star rating and written review, because that will help others find the show.
At this time, we would like to thank our very own associate producers, Mahendran Radhakrishnan and JJ Seastrum. A special thanks to Graham Kelly for our opening and closing music, and Mark White for our artwork each and every week. Thank you for listening.
We hope you'll join us as we search out
all good things.
That was Mark, not me.
Amazing.